Welcome back, folks. This brief little shop talk is intended to discuss a couple little projects I'm doing for a friend of mine. I recently went over and visited a buddy of mine who's also very much into vintage Japanese motorcycles. In particular, he's into Honda Mini Trails, XL75s, and Yamaha GT80s. And some he keeps in his own collection, and some of them he flips, fixes them up, repairs them, and flips them, make a few bucks on the side. He's retired also. Anyway, I was over there recently, and he asked me if I'd be willing to do a couple things on two different Yamaha GT80 projects he's working on right now. I do most of the fuel tank derusting in my circle of friends. I've got a group of buddies in my area that we collaborate on projects back and forth and help each other from time to time, and I'm the one that does most of the fuel tank derusting. And the tank you see in a shot right now is the fuel tank off of one of my friend's GT80s. I just got this set up to use electrolysis, which is my preferred method for fuel tank derusting. I use electrolysis or a chemicals rust remover like evaporust. I don't use much anymore anyway. Acids. I have used phosphoric acid in the past, and there's mechanical means you can use also, such as, you know, the proverbial nuts, bolts, washers, and shake the bejeebies out of the tank. I use electrolysis almost exclusively, followed up by, if necessary, with evaporust. This tank has rust from about the mid-level up, so that leads me to believe that it at one time had fuel probably up to about here, and then the top was exposed to the atmosphere and sat for many years, and that's why this top half of the tank has predominantly the rust. The bottom half is very clean. My buddy asked me if I'd go ahead and strip the rust, so that's what I'm going to do here. I've just gotten this process set up. I haven't really started to do anything yet. You can see I got the battery charger, the electrode here passing through a piece of plastic. I usually use lids off of a spray can, rail can of paint, and they act as great insulators, and there's a piece of all thread that comes down and makes an L shape, and eventually I'll show that to you as I do a little bit further, get a little bit further into the actual derusting process. But this is just set up. I'm just getting ready to get it going. Probably will end up running this, I'm guessing, 3, 4, 5 days based on the amount of rust that I saw inside of the fuel tank. And I'll try to update you a little bit later on that as we go. The second item that he asked me to look at, and this is for a different GT80. This is a front fender. And you can see here where in the past someone has attempted, not very successfully I might add, to weld this fatigue crack. And these metal front fenders on the GT80s are known for this fatigue cracking right here, very common condition that you run into. Anyway, he asked me if I could repair it correctly, that is to grind this weld back. They didn't do a very good job of aligning the two ends of the crack. You can see it's mismatched there. Pull it back into shape and then re-weld it so that he can, then he'll do the painting of it and continue on with this project. So I've agreed, of course, to doing that for him. We help each other back and forth on projects from time to time. So I said, sure, I'll do it for you. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to this. He said he's in no rush at all for the fender. This tank he needs for the summer season coming up. That's right now it's February of 2020. He wants this just in time to sell it, the bike, this coming summer. This is for a different project, and he's not concerned about timing. So probably next time I get my welder out, my MIG welder out, I'll tackle the repair here. So those are the two projects that I'm working on that are not mine, or for someone else. I will update you, I think, certainly on the fuel tank. I'm not sure about the fender. I'm not even sure when I'm going to get to the fender. But I thought I would share this with folks. I didn't know if folks were aware that I do work on other people's projects from time to time and help them out with things. You know, in our group, that's kind of what we do. This tank has been perking now for about 12 hours, and I have not opened it up yet. This is the first time since I started the process late in the day yesterday, and we'll see what it looks like here after its first initial run. Get it out. And you can see there, I think, what the buildup looks like. Again, that's 12 hours, maybe a little bit more than that. You really can't beat electrolysis for rust removal, I've got to tell you. It's my favorite technique for something like this. So I'm going to scrub this down with a wire brush and rinse it in clean water and reinsert it in a tank. I'll top off the liquid here, the solution, with a little water to bring it back up to just below the rim, and put everything back together and keep going. And probably will take, I'm going to guess, 3 to 4 days before it's all done, and then I'll be satisfied with it. Well, I've got the Yamaha GT80 fuel tank for my buddy finished in terms of derusting the inside. Just to reiterate, the techniques I used is initially I used electrolysis. That took probably the better part of a week, maybe even a little more overall. Once I completed electrolysis and the process had completed its cycle, I rinsed it with hot soapy water, and then I refilled it. I plugged it and refilled it with Evaporust right up to the brim here, and set it level like that, and then put the cap back on and just let it set for probably 36 to 48 hours or so. Drain the Evaporust. I do reclaim that. I don't throw that away until it reaches the end of its life cycle. And then I rinsed it with hot soapy water several different times to get any remaining debris out of the tank that might have been left behind. Then I used a shop vac or shop vacuum in reverse, which means it was blowing rather than vacuuming. And I put the nozzle inside of here and pulled the plug out of the drain where the drain cock fits, and blew fresh air through the tank. And I did that probably for a couple of hours, repositioning the outlet of the shop vac in several different positions so that the air would flow in different patterns, exhausting again out of where the petcock fits. Then once that was complete, after several hours, I looked inside with a flashlight, made sure the tank was good and dry. Virtually all the residual moisture was removed. Then I hosed it down liberally with WD-40, which is a water displacer. You could use two-stroke oil, or any oil for that matter, I think, for this, but I like WD-40 for this type of application. It's thin, it's designed to displace water, so if there's any remaining moisture, it helps prevent flash rusting. So once I liberally sprayed down the inside with WD-40, I put the cap back on, and then I rolled the tank around completely for probably 10 minutes or so to make sure the inside is all coated with WD-40, and that's it. Let me see if I can get a shot for you of the inside so you can see what it looks like. It's a little bit difficult here to get an angle for you, but I think you can see about what it looks like there. I'm quite happy with the way it turned out, and I think the owner, my buddy Paul, will be as well. I think he's intending to complete well, it's not really a restoration. I think it's more of a resuscitation of an old GT80. Get it back on the road, and I think he's probably going to take it to Mid-Ohio this coming summer. It'll be July of 2020, and sell it. So this is really one of his reconditioning projects. I have not, changing subjects, I have not done anything with that little fender that I have to weld up because I haven't really had my welding outfit out in the last couple of weeks. So next time I'm doing some welding, I'll see if I can't fix that fender for him as well. So that's it for this little review of derusting this GT80 fuel tank. Any issues, thoughts, questions, drop me a note. Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching.